If you are building AI agent swarms like this one, stop. You are about to waste weeks of your life and hundreds of dollars in API costs. So everyone is going crazy about n8n's new AI agent to agent feature where now you can add an AI agent as a tool to this main agent. I'm about to show you why this could be the worst thing you can do to your workflows, and by the end of this video you will understand why 99% of the developers are building AI systems that will fail in production. And after watching this video, you may not use this tool at all. Let's get started. So I have created a simple AI assistant using both the old methods and the new methods. So the old way of creating supervisor multi-agent workflows was that you have a main AI agent that receives the main request, and then it has access to multiple sub workflows. That is, we add sub workflows as tools to this main agent, and then this main agent decides the next action, and then it delegates that task to the respective workflow. And each of these sub workflows contains their respective AI agents. So the AI assistant that I have built over here has three core responsibilities. First is to handle all the Google Calendar related action, like creating an event, sending an invite, canceling an event. Next, it can handle all the tasks related to Gmail, like drafting an email, sending an email, reading the existing emails. And the third task is the research. It can carry out a research on the internet, prepare a report, and then send it back to you. And for all of these three core responsibilities, we have three sub AI agents. Those agents reside in their respective workflows, and this is the sub workflow for email agent, this one for the research agent, and this one is for the calendar agent. So this is the old way of doing it. And with the new way, instead of adding sub workflows as tools to this main agent, we can directly add the respective agents, like the Gmail agent, calendar agent, and research agent. It means that there will be no hop from this workflow to another workflow, and everything will execute here itself. And for email agent and calendar agent, we are using MCP to give them access to Gmail and calendar. And this is the separate workflow for MCP servers. And both of these assistants have access to this get contacts tool as well. This tool will fetch the email ID from our AI table, which contains some mock data like this, which contains the username, their email, and contact details, etc. If you want to learn how to build effective AI agents and automations, you can check out my AI Architects Pro school community, where I have detailed courses on n8n, on AI agents, and building end-to-end AI solutions for businesses. You will also get full technical support from me and a platform to meet and work with other AI builders in the community. Now let's try out the first workflow where we are using sub workflows as tools for the main agent, and let's send this query. Prepare a research report on GPT-5 and email it to Alex. The main agent has received the request. It made a request to get contacts tool, got the email from the AI table, and then it made a request to research agent workflow. And the AI agent in that sub workflow is now doing all the research and preparing the final report. Once that is complete, it has made a request to email agent sub workflow, and now the AI agent in that sub workflow is drafting an email and will send it to Alex. And this is the response we received. Research report has been prepared and successfully emailed to Alex on this email. And this is the email we have received. This looks good. Now let's detach this chat message trigger from here and attach it to our second workflow where we are using AI agents as tools to the main agent. And let's add the respective tools to all of these agents. So I'll copy the MCP client from here and attach it over here. Similarly, I'll copy the MCP client for calendar and connect it as a tool over here. And in the research agent, let's copy the Tavily node and connect it as a tool over here. Now this workflow is ideally equivalent to the first one. And now let's give the same query to this second workflow. Prepare a research report on GPT-5 and email it to Alex. Let's execute this. And now this main agent received the request. It fetched the email from the AI table. Then it made a request to the research agent. The research agent is now doing the research on GPT-5. It returned the response back to the main agent, and the main agent now triggered the Gmail agent. And the Gmail agent made a call to MCP server. And this is the response we received. The detailed research report on GPT-5 has been prepared and emailed to Alex. And this is the email we have received this time. Of course, it is not well formatted, but that can be fixed. So both of these workflows are equivalent in terms of functionality, but there is a huge difference between reliability. And there are some serious drawbacks with the second approach. And let's cover each of those one by one. So the first aspect I want to cover is input control and cost optimization. Now, if you look at both of these workflows, in the first workflow, we are calling the sub workflow. And then in that sub workflow, we have the complete control over what parameters we are receiving, whether to use the AI agent at all or not. However, in the second approach, this main agent will always call the sub-agent, irrespective of whether the parameters received by this sub-agent are valid or not. So for example, if we look at the executions of email agent, so this is the query we had received. Now this is a single string coming from the main AI agent. However, before forwarding the request to the email agent, we can put some validation blocks in between. We can use the set node or the code node and check if the received fields are correct, they contain enough information or not, and only then forward the request to the email agent. So instead of set field, we can also use, let's say, the if node. In if node, we can set conditions like this query should not be null. So let's say we set the condition for this object to exist. So if this object exists, only then the true branch will be set and we will forward the request to the email agent. Otherwise, we will return an error from here. We can use a set node for that. And in this set node, we can return a response. Response can be a simple string that says the received query is empty, send complete details of the request in the query parameter. And this response will be sent back to the main AI agent. And when this main agent sees that error, it will realign and it will try to send a correct query back to the sub workflow. And since we are not proceeding to the email agent unless we have the correct parameters, we are avoiding all of these LLM calls that would have consumed a number of tokens unnecessarily. And at the same time, we are giving a proper error that can be understood by the main agent so that it can realign properly. So while using this sub workflow, we have this kind of control where we can handle the incorrect inputs and optimize the cost. Whereas in case of AI agent as a tool, there is no way to control those inputs or have proper checks in place or return a custom error back to the main agent. And because of that, the chances of hallucination increases dramatically. The next thing I want to talk about is the dynamic prompt disaster. Now, if we come back to this workflow and open one of these AI agent tool, here in the prompt for the user message, we have an option to allow our main AI agent send this prompt. And of course, we can define the custom system message over here. However, since this user message is being forwarded by the main AI agent and we are not controlling it, the chances of hallucination increases further. In case of sub workflows, we can define exactly which parameters to pass to this main AI agent and we can format it properly. Like we can give a name over here, we can give the email, maybe some context and history or something else. And we can organize the user input in a certain way that is better understood by the AI agent. However, in this case, it's difficult to define that because this agent is directly under this main agent. And if we let the main agent define these prompts, it may get out of control sometimes. Next thing I want to talk about is the evaluation and testing of sub-agents. When we attach sub-workflows as tools to the main agent, we have more control over the sub-workflows in terms of evaluation and optimization of all of these agents. We can test all of these agents in isolation without running the workflow again and again with all of these agents. It's difficult to test because for each test case, we'll need to trigger the main agent and it will trigger the sub-agent and then it will try to take certain actions. And if this agent doesn't perform well, it's difficult to isolate the error, whether it's coming from this sub-agent or from the main AI agent. However, when we are using these sub-workflows, it's easy to monitor, evaluate, and improve all of these agents and their respective prompts. We can set sample input over here and then execute this workflow in isolation, monitor it, look at the responses, try changing the model, and other parameters associated with this chat model. But in case of an architecture like this, that becomes really difficult. The next aspect I want to cover is the reusability of sub-workflows. When we have sub-workflows like these, like the email agent taking care of all the actions, research agent, calendar agent, or anything else, it's easy to reuse these. You can connect these sub workflows as tools to multiple workflows wherever you want. However, in case of an architecture like this, there is nothing to reuse. You'll need to copy paste all of these agents if you want from this workflow to the next workflow. The next thing I want to talk about is the silent failure catastrophe. The silent failures are the ones that you won't even know about when they happen. For example, let's say the main agent asks Gmail agent to draft an email while adding people in CC, BCC, and adding some attachments, etc. Now, if some parameter goes missing or if it is not passed correctly, we don't have a way to catch it. This AI agent will simply work on it. It will try to create an email. It may be even able to complete the task partially, like drafting an email without attachments, and it will not report any failures. And you will never know about this degraded performance, and you won't have a chance to improve it as well. However, in case of these sub workflows, you can have all of these initial checks in place where you can catch the failures, and then you can make improvements to the system. The last thing I want to talk about is maintenance and update complexity. Now, let's say after sending the Gmail, you want to log the event somewhere, or you want to take some other action. After building the system, let's say you decide to upgrade it and add more features. And now let's say you want to be notified on Slack once a calendar event is created, or let's say you want to log it somewhere and you want it to happen serially after this calendar agent. If you use this architecture, you're left with an option of creating more tools and making the prompt of this AI agent more complex and complicated. From this point onwards, your hallucination will only increase, which will degrade the reliability. However, if you're using sub workflows like these, you can take as many actions you want over here. You can send it to Slack or anywhere else. You can log it anywhere you want without impacting your main workflow. You won't need to test this workflow again and again thoroughly when you make changes to your sub workflows, and this won't impact the prompt or the performance of your main AI agent. It's just that you're increasing the number of actions performed in this sub workflow. And because of all of these factors, using sub workflows as tools for this main AI agent remains the preferred approach instead of using AI agent directly as a tool. When should you use these direct AI agents as tools? You can use them for personal experiments. Let's say you want to prototype something, and if you want to learn how agents interact, and if you want to create some impressive demos where reliability is not a factor, then you can surely use these. Otherwise, if you are building assistants or AI agents that you can rely on, or if you're building solutions for businesses or long-term projects, then sub workflows is the approach you should take. This will enable you to create reliable workflows in the long run. You can get all of these workflows in my free school community. You can go there, download it, and you can play and try out things on your own. If you found the video useful, don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.